Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dave Russell. Well, the Ohio Soybean Council invites you to learn more about biodiesel and how this cleaner, efficient fuel boosts engine life, adds value to soybeans, and drives real savings for farmers. Visit soyohio.org for more. Well, Joel checks in with this week's Buckeye Temp Tracker.
Time for this week's Buckeye Temp Tracker, brought to you by B&A Genetics. Real service, real results. We take a look at soil temperatures around the state in 4 counties each week. Things up for the most part from last week, but not in every county reading. In Morrow County, the field of corn stubble we've been keeping track of, 49 degrees Fahrenheit. Bean stubble, 51 degrees. Just a degree different in each of those fields from the week before. The Perry County corn stubble field, 53 degrees Fahrenheit, up from last week's 51 degrees. And in the bean field, 55 degrees, 2 degrees higher than last week's as well. Fayette County seeing the biggest change upward on our tracker. 55 degrees for their corn stubble field. That's 5 degrees up from last week. And a 6-degree change for their bean stubble field at 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Mercer County lower in temperature, 45 degrees in both the corn and bean stubble field, lower from last week's readings. Take a look at the trends in our Buckeye Temp Tracker online at ohioagnet.com, thanks to B&A Genetics. I'm Joel Norwood reporting.
Well, we have Joel working double time this week. He's back with the first Cab Cam of the year.
Some really nice weather out there this week, and that means it's planting time across Ohio. The first Cab Cam of the 2025 season takes us to Champaign County, where we jumped in the cab with David Phelps of Phelps Farms. Their area seems to always be some of the first in the state to get major planting progress done each year.
Yeah, that's true. And people from other areas say, "You guys are planting already?" Like, yeah, it's planting real nice. So
the field we were in, a couple pivots in that field, we were planting corn.
Let's see, this is Tuesday. Since Friday, I probably planted 500 acres of corn, and I think we're maybe about 300 acres of beans done.
And their perspective on when it's time to get rolling?
All of a sudden, one day, you just realize, hey, we're ready. I don't know if it's the neighbors start going and everybody gets excited, and the soil looks right, everything feels right, and all the factors just one day culminate and you're like, oh, it's time to go. You can't really plan to say, I'm going to start April 20th. You never know. So take your time, think about what you're doing, get it done right, and don't worry about what your neighbors are doing. You just do what's best and right for you.
That's David Phelps of Phelps Farms in Champaign County. Watch the full Cab Cam video online today at ohioagnet.com. The 2025 Cab Cam series brought to you by Precision Agri-Services, Inc. More from them at precisionagriservices.com. I'm Joel Norwood reporting.
The American Farm Bureau Federation has submitted comments asking for changes in WOTUS.
The American Farm Bureau Federation is asking the Environmental Protection Agency for changes to the Waters of the U.S. rule. David Schilling, AFBF Public Policy Counsel, says the group wants the rule brought in line with the Sackett versus EPA Supreme Court ruling.
The problem is that under the current definition, everyday activities on the farm, whether it's plowing, planting, fence building, and so on, could trigger enforcement by the federal government under the Clean Water Act.
He says the current rule does not follow the precedent set forth in Sackett, which is clear about the boundaries of regulating the nation's waterways.
The current EPA rule imposes regulations that are inconsistent with the law and burdensome to our farming communities. Specifically, we're seeking a clear definition that allows for identification of which waters are relatively permanent and connected to traditional interstate navigable waterways and thus appropriate for federal jurisdiction.
Schilling says the EPA is going to conduct listening sessions with various stakeholders, including farmers and ranchers, to see what changes need to be made. Chad Smith, Washington.
The markets are next.
Ohio's beef farms run on the protein-packed punch of soybeans. Across the United States, beef operations consume the equivalent of 55 million bushels of soybean meal annually. Soy meal delivers the energy and essential nutrients that help produce top-quality beef for your table. From soybean fields to plates everywhere, soybeans power the farms that feed families. This message brought to you by the Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Many drugs, like cocaine, methamphetamine, and non-prescription pills, are often cut with dangerous opioids like fentanyl. As a result, nearly 14 Ohioans die daily from unintentional overdoses. That's why it's important to carry naloxone, such as Narcan, a life-saving medication that blocks the effects of fentanyl and other opioids. Over the last 5 years, naloxone has saved over 83,000 lives. Help save lives and visit naloxone.ohio.gov to learn more and find free naloxone. Remember, if you see an overdose occurring, always call 911.
The market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. At the Board of Trade, May corn $4.72, down 3 3/4. December corn $4.54 down 3 1/2. May soybeans $10.40 1/4, up 5 1/4. November beans $10.27 1/2, up a penny. July wheat $5.43 1/2, down 6 3/4. At the Mercantile Exchange, April cattle $212.70, up $1.32. May hogs $91.87, down 35 cents. August feeder cattle $292.17, up 92 cents. This is the Ohio AgNet.